All right, guys, let's this is going on live right now. I had no idea it was going to be happening, but somebody just sent it to me. So let's take a look at Cenk Uygur on Don Lemon.
All right, straight to the introduction because this man needs no introduction. There you see Cenk Uygur on the screen. Cenk, thanks for joining us. So I've been sitting back watching, especially
Loser Lemon. Yeah, I hate to say this is one of those situations where I don't like either of these people, but he's asking Cenk Uygur on civility with MAGA. So let's see if he has a hot takes on this. Plus, I'm just watching right now. I want to make sure that there is no like copyright
surrounding you and the Young Turks and Anna, whatever. And I said, what is going on? Why is this a matter of, are the leftists eating their own? Why is the left after you, Cenk? I would think the right would be after you, but now the left is after you.
Great.
Yeah, so
great. What a way to start it.
A couple of things here. Number one,
all right. Well, this one's going to be a little bit more friendly to Cenk than usual.
There is no the left, right? There's a wide spectrum of beliefs, and what you see online is a little bit different than what you see in the real world. And the real left is basically the core of the Democratic voters. So, secondly, I get it because we're in very divided times, enormously partisan, and the two camps are supposed to hate each other. That's the groove that we got into. And the minute you say, well, maybe we shouldn't hate each other, people go, wait a minute, are you selling out? Are you a bad guy? Are you going to their camp? But it is definitely a little bit more ironic for the left to do that because we're supposed to be the open-hearted.
Isn't that legit to say that? Because especially considering if you were talking about the right.
Well, no, when you monolith the left and then somehow make Lance from the Serfs the face of it in your mind and then start attacking them based on that, gee, it's almost like you're doing this thing where you're mischaracterizing them. But okay.
Let's just say even like Bush, like when the real Republicans were really in charge.
When I hear my voice, I hear it with reverb through my skull, and I don't like it. It sounds deeper to me, so I don't like that.
You would say, okay.
Honestly, funny enough, not a big fan of my own. I think that I have a very nasally voice.
All right, so he's listening to the right. What is there to listen to the right now? It's the MAGA party, which doesn't care about, they have no principles, they have no morals, and the only person they listen to is their dear leader.
His forehead wrinkles like that. It looks like you could scan it on Spotify.
So why engage with them?
You're not wrong.
With Charlie Kirk. Let me play this with Charlie Kirk. You were at, what is this thing? America First. And I'm like, why on earth?
America Fest. Yeah.
America Fest. Why on earth is Cenk Uygur sitting down with Charlie Kirk? Here it is.
I knew you guys were for real in fighting against the establishment when I started going on right-wing shows and I would say something negative about Mitch McConnell. And when I did that in the past, what I would get back is, oh, no, Mitch McConnell's great. Pelosi's terrible, but Mitch McConnell's great.
Let's do that here. What do you guys think of Mitch McConnell?
Okay, so then, but why Charlie Kirk? We know who Charlie Kirk is.
Yeah. So let's break this one down. So first off, I think that your fundamental premise is actually wrong. And that is why there's this heated debate, argument, conversation around it. So what I said there is exactly right, in my opinion. And so based on my experience. So when I would go on right-wing shows in the past, I'd get a wall of propaganda and talking points. And I knew what the talking points were going to be ahead of time. I could tell.
Cenk, why do you suck?
Tell you before I went on air, and they would always give you the same predictable Fox News talking points. It was like talking to a wall. It was totally pointless. Now I've gone on dozens of.
I think my voice change when I got my tonsils removed feels weird, not like my own. I'll be honest. That's why I have a deviated septum, and I have been afraid to get it fixed, which is weird because I don't like my voice, but I'm afraid that I might hate my voice even more. And the main thing is I like being able to do the impressions I do.
Right-wing shows. And they all have slightly different opinions. I think today the right-wing base is in some ways I get what you're saying about it. In some ways they're worse, but in some ways I think it's better than in the past. And I get that I'm seeing that before others do, because I've had that experience of interacting with them so much. And I get that people look at it and go, oh, that can't be right. MAGA's all bad. And if Cenk is telling me that there's parts of where we might agree,
Really?
or parts where
No kidding, your voice was deeper than mine.
they might not be bad, then I guess Cenk must be one of them. And you know the Dave Rubin tracks.
I mean, I can go in a lower octave.
So people get
I can't.
like,
I actually can't get like that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get bass.
jump
Never
in
mind.
real quick?
Yeah.
And we can talk about Dave
Ooh.
Rubin, because that is the anyways. So let's talk
Sorry.
about this.
Chat's still
couple
locked,
things.
my
You
bad.
said you think my premise is wrong.
Give us a Trump impression. Lemon, Don Lemon. And he was all over Cenk's meat, and he was like the grapefruit method. Your name isn't Dick Grapefruit.
You said. Let's start with that, and then there's another thing of what you said. So how am I wrong?
So in the old days, they were
Or it's more like Dick Lemon. Although I think I hear Dick Lemon and I go, oh, ooh, it stings. It stings a little bit. Ooh, ooh.
just single-minded. It's to that Mitch McConnell point. If I said Mitch McConnell, Dick Cheney, whoever else, they would have been like, no way, they're the greatest thing on
Okay,
earth.
so that's the premise. You stated that. Okay, you said because you think.
Are you saying that out of like a barbershop quartet, you would be the boom, 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 boom?
But then you said they are different than they were before, or better than they were before?
In some ways. And so here's why. If I went to go on Fox News 5 years ago, or really any right-wing show, and I said, hey guys, why don't we do paid family leave? They'd be like, boo, get out of here. That's not in favor of corporations. Shut up, or whatever. Now, they wouldn't say
Oh, okay.
that it's not in favor of corporations.
A baritone?
They would have been
Gotcha.
fed a talking point of corporate propaganda about how paid
Sherry baby.
family leave isn't good for moms, even though it's great for moms, right? Now, when I go talk about paid family leave, we have a real conversation. Does every show agree? No, but almost. So wait, if the right-wing shows are agreeing on paid family leave, what world are we in? So the one school of thought is, no, Cenk, you're naive. They're all lying en masse, even though they're really not known for lying. They're known for sharing their opinions, no matter how crazy they
I
are.
think they're known for lying, but
What's that?
I think they're known for lying.
But that's interesting. I mean, look, one of
It was another disaster.
Are you kidding me?
the
Dude.
principal complaints we had on the left about MAGA was they say crazy things. They say things we don't agree with. They say things that are politically incorrect. So it's not like they're shy about sharing their controversial opinions.
Guys, he really is getting so much worse now. Now he's whitewashing freaking right-wingers and what they say and somehow trying to conflate it in a way where the left is just as nuts. What?
So, and remember, separate out the voters
Sorry,
from
guys.
the leaders. Like Trump, of course, known for lying. Of course, right? As much as anyone is known for lying, Trump is known for it. But and do they believe that too much? Absolutely. But does our side?
The thing is, even if MAGA say they're for pro-family leave, Trump will come out against it and they'll say they're against it immediately too. Yes. Thank you, Dave. That's a great point too. He's not being freaking realistic just about how they function and how they don't actually hold any standards or morals. That's the difference. Leftists are pissed off because they do hold morals, and he keeps betraying them. And now what's he do? He's just like, oh, you know what I really like about the right? The fact that they're able to kind of, flip-flop and definitely hear something, then just go, okay, I think I like that idea. Except it's never you unless you're going, yeah, that Trump guy's got a great point.
Did our side believe in the absolute horse crap
His ego is seriously rotting his freaking brain.
that Joe Biden and Democratic leadership have been peddling?
Cenk has no understanding of history or fascism. He is a dangerous tool. He's literally being used as propaganda, and he doesn't even get it. And he has the nerve to be like, I'm actually the voice of the leftist progressive media, the leftist progressive media sphere. I'm alternative media. I am definitely not mainstream media. I do not hold the same views as mainstream media. And then he goes and does this.
For the last 20 years. Yeah, we believed it Way too
The
much.
whole both sides are equally bad narrative is exclusively spun by the right because they know that they are worse. So Cenk is doing it is highly suspicious. Indeed.
Way too much. And to the point where the guy,
Great point.
brain is falling out of his head, and we could all see it on screen. And our side was like, no, it's not. He's young and dynamic. He always believed Democratic leadership. And my point is, guys, this is a whole new world where there's new media. In the old days,
This is why liberals are so frustrating. Yeah.
media
No,
drilled
Anna, I will 100% see on that one.
the talking points into your head. So if you watch MSNBC or you watch,
Hey, now, Anna, I'm a lib. Are you self-identified as a lib? Or are you doing the thing where you're just like, well, I kind of like Kamala Harris?
Fox News, you were going to have one way of thinking. Now, since they're watching all different shows, they can say, hey, you know what? I don't want, I want mass deportation of immigrants and we hate it. There's only two genders and we hate it. The left wing does not agree with those things. But then they'll turn around and say, but we agree with you on war, or we agree with you on paid family leave. So what I'm trying to get people to see is
Cenk's hairline is a trapezoid.
take the win. Now, if you say, hey, Cenk, they're lying
I can't unsee it. Oh,
in
no.
mass, even though, again,
It is.
they're not really known.
Hey, at least his hairline's better than Adam Mockler. I'm sorry, man. Adam Mockler just recently got himself a haircut that is woof.
For that, and I don't believe you, and it'll never happen. No problem. We're gonna find out. Right?
I'm gonna have to take notes because there's so much.
Although, come on, guys, Lego Man. Like, we've been calling him Lego Man in here for a little bit now, so he literally looks like a Lego Man.
The thing is that I believe that you should go into the lion's den, right? I truly believe that.
I'm Adonis
But I
Leninist.
don't think that you always have to go
Oh my God, Kirk, can you imagine? In the year of our Lord, 2075, I have come out and identified as Adonis
in
Leninist.
certain ways, and if you to certain venues, and if you do go into
Every time, Bloodstone by Stars, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl.
then I don't think that you go in there now. It
No
feels
doubt
to me that
is
you
seriously, like, especially like that first album. Oh, it's fire.
are praising your praise of the right outweighs your criticism of the left, and you're on the left, right? So I look, I can see criticizing the left. I think they're soft. I think, as my producer always says, they're bringing a knife to a bazooka fight, a butter knife.
All right. Well, I mean, if you're doing that, okay, this is where I'll capitulate a little bit. The fact that we're always just like Joe Biden, where we need to have decorum, where they go low, we go high. We're better than them, even though it doesn't get us anywhere that we need to go. Weird. And by the way,
To a bazooka fight, and they need to.
the lack of
they
any
need to
historical
adapt.
context is a big problem. Marxism primarily is a theory of historical development, and that theory informs our policy and organization. We actually learn from history. Yep.
Adopt some of how the right operates, especially
Yeah, you know what they learn from history? Literally just to go, Marxism bad.
politically and with messaging, etc. But I don't believe that you always have to go in there and put yourself in the position for people to make fun of you. You have to understand, you seriously, for the right and the left to make fun of you. Those folks, when you go in there, those folks are going to, as soon as you leave,
If MAGA had any historical literacy, they wouldn't be a MAGA.
they're going to make fun of you. They're going to lie about what you said. They're going to put out headlines. Cenk loses his cool or lies about such and such.
You're doing it right
And
now.
they're just such
No, you don't get to talk about sensationalism when you're literally playing the YouTube game. Don't do that.
dishonest
Come on.
brokers that I don't understand sometimes why you engage. And I'll talk about some of the platforms you engage on. I'm not sure why you do it. But I think
I'll agree
David
with that.
Pakman,
I'll agree with that, man. The fact that he shows up on Twitter and he just starts arguing with people is insane.
with you, really sort of got to the heart of it. I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and then I have a question for you after. Here it is.
Worried about
bone
the
just
power
scared
of
him.
the establishment and elites, the recalcitrant centers of power that are corrupt and we're sick of them and all of that. We would identify the problem with almost the exact same language that the crowd at Amfest would. The problem is when you say, okay, left-wing populist, what's your solution? We talk about social democracy, curbing corporate power, using regulations. they will still say the solution is tax cuts for the rich and corporations and all the same stuff.
He's Mr. Neezer.
My instinct is, and tell me if I'm wrong. I want to hear.
All right,
I'm open to
yeah.
having my mind change. My thought
Here,
is, even if we
I gotta
really
get that
were
up
in
here
agreement
so
about the
we can,
problem, once we get to
tell everybody
solutions,
how
we're
right
not
you
even
are.
at all on the same page.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I think you are wrong.
so this is where I agree with him, especially considering what just happened a couple days ago, recently, and that is the inauguration. And you see, when you said, you talk about corporate power and all of that, you see Donald Trump with the richest people in the world on the front row cozying up to power, and those MAGA folks, the shows that you're going on, they have no problem with it. They love it. They support all the folks who are up there, including their dear leader. So do you feel like, maybe as maybe I
Dead
should change my stance on this?
on.
considering,
Dead
if you
on.
just take a look at a photograph
Oh my
from the
God.
inauguration.
Nope, not even close. So so let's break this down.
That's too funny.
So I was on Piers Morgan this morning, and I get into it with a very fundamentalist right winger, right? And he says the bishop that called out the Donald Trump on inauguration day is satanic because she's a female bishop. I light into him. We get into this huge fight, right? And then at the end, Piers asks us about.
All right, guys. So that's the winner right there. Cenk Uygur is Mr. Neezer.
Oligarchy. And
See,
I explained.
I knew who that was because VeggieTales. That was one of the main things that we used as entertainment in our little Christian circles.
How, hey, whether you're populist
VeggieTales
right,
also
populist left,
slaps. Like Larry the
watch out for
Cucumber.
donor class, because they're not on your side. And
Come on, man.
this guy who we've been yelling at each other for about 40 minutes straight goes, oh yeah, he's right about that. Okay, so now when I go on to other right-wing shows, is it perfect overnight? Of course not. Are they left-wingers? Of course not. That's why we have such huge disagreements on social issues and even on some economic issues. But when you get to the corporate oligarchy, you see Steve Bannon in a giant fight with Elon Musk, and you see Steve Bannon saying, raise.
I had to look. I was like, what was Larry the Cucumber's superhero name? It was Larry Boy.
Corporate taxes, raise tax on the rich. So now I'm not saying that you then go do a bear hug of Steve Bannon and say Steve Bannon's an angel, Steve Bannon's right about everything. That's crazy. Of course not.
But the thing is,
But when
saying
the
that
mother-
now.
Hold on, Don. Let me ask you something back. When you see Steve Bannon ripping into Elon Musk, do you think it's all theater and he's lying and they're actually best
Huge.
friends?
I don't know any of
Or
that.
do you
I
think there's
think
a
that
real
I think
disagreement
that's
within the right?
I think that is where Steve Bannon is now. I think that is where maybe a Charlie Kirk is. And I don't look. I didn't really even know about a lot of these figures when I was in legacy media because it just didn't rise to the level. They never sort of got there. But now Steve Bannon, of course, obviously. But it's where they are now. And as long as you're going, I have no problem with you going again into the lion's den. But as long as you realize that we're in a different time, and I think that you do. And by the way, let me just preface this by saying,
I didn't have this one on the bingo card for this one. Don Lemon literally chastising Cenk Uygur for what?
and I told you this before, I really respect what you've done in this whole.
Sorry, my brain just short circuited. The fact that Don Lemon is somehow coming out on with a better understanding of this than Cenk Uygur himself, the progressive voice of the left.
Media thing, right? What you built here. And so for me to sit back and look at you and say, well, is he foregoing his principles?
The Belly Button song was my favorite VeggieTales song.
For the sake of subscribers, ad dollars, money, then that makes him no different than the corporate media that he despises, that he fights against, okay? But if you're going in there and you're understanding that these people are not honest brokers, that's where Steve Bannon is now.
Wait, did you guys watch VeggieTales in secular land?
Steve Bannon may be different in 5 minutes because they really have no
We used to
core
buy
about
we
some
literally
of
used to
these
buy the
things.
tapes at a Christian bookstore.
So, Don, so two things. Number one, people are saying two things at the same time that make no logical sense. They say,
I'm about to get lemon pilled.
oh, your audience is leaving
Is it called lemon headed? Oh,
you because you're not radical left enough anymore, and you're not. You have to call them Nazis.
Wait a minute. When he's with his husband, is it called Lemonhead?
at all times. If you don't, we're going to leave you. And
I don't think people are saying that. I don't think people are. I think that, look, obviously you're being hyperbolic, right? I don't think people are saying
No, I'm
that
not being
either.
hyperbolic. That's literally what they're saying. So then, and then they say, oh, you're doing it for the money in the grift. So then which one is it? Is our subscribers going up or are they going down? Are we doing it for the money or are we doing it because we're principled and are willing to risk paying subscribers? I'll tell you what the truth is. We've lost paying subscribers, a good amount of them, okay? And that is the exact
I will also speak for Adrian Vixen. I know that she stopped too, and she also stopped modding for the channel.
opposite of a grift. That's people.
Don is gay? Yeah.
People saying we are principled and we're going to bring you real news, even if it costs us dearly. We didn't take any money from Kamala Harris's campaign. It costs us dearly financially, but we do it to be honest and principled.
Okay.
So
I understand that, but I think people think that you believe, this is what they believe, that you're going to gain an audience. You believe the audience on the right is bigger. Those sort of tech bros. Those folks are somehow going to come over to
You can keep saying that it's total and utter nonsense, but you're the only one who seems to think that it is. You're literally being called out by the center. What's up with that?
What is
Come on,
that?
Cenk.
But Don,
At what point is he going to stop these media tours or just go on his own show and go, so I've had some self-reflection. Oh, wait a minute.
It hasn't happened because corporate media has tried it, cable news has tried it, and it doesn't work.
I understand the landscape.
That's where it's coming from you. That house is probably paid for by CNN.
Of media overall, I would argue maybe better than anybody does. Certainly online media. I've been in this
I'm way out of the
longer
loop.
than anyone else, longest running show. So I would never be naive enough to think, oh my God, I bet if we just switch after 23 years of being left wing to being right wing, that all of a sudden we'll get a larger right wing audience. That's crazy. No, what we're doing, whether you agree or disagree with it, is courageous.
You did not just
say challenging our own audience. And Don, more than that, these algorithms punish you if you go 1% from the extreme.
It takes so much courage to go and grift, guys.
And so we're willing to risk all of that to be honest with our audience. And I don't see anybody else doing that.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. Because there are examples of people who are doing this. And I remember I did not before, I watched a little bit of YouTube. I started watching, but before I left Legacy Media, I didn't know the characters. I didn't know the game in the streaming digital space. And once I said, okay, I'm going to go over, I did the deal with X or whatever. And I said, let me watch and engage and see what people say. Every single person said, Don Lemon has nowhere else to go. He's going to be red-pilled. He's going to sell out or whatever. And
to be fair, we did totally do that.
Because that
to be fair. Yeah, okay.
Going to happen. But there are examples of people we know who have done that, and they have been fairly successful.
He's pretty private about it. I mean, ish. I mean, he was on Andy Cohen on Sirius XM, and he was very open about it. They were talking about him, Anderson Cooper, and I think they called it I don't want to get it wrong because it could sound a little bit,
successful at doing
what they call it.
Somehow taking the red pill.
Because I almost said they called it a gay off.
People on the right that they called, liars and grifters for years. And what they're doing now is against their principles and what they really believe because they almighty dollar. So people are worried, are concerned, and I think rightfully so, because as I said, some folks have done it, that you're pulling a Dave Rubin, that you're pulling a Rubin and you're trying to go to the right because it's the shortest line to the front.
Yeah, so as I said in the beginning, it's understandable since Rubin did that and several other people did that.
Well, it's also the timing, Cenk. Come on, dude. This is what's driving me nuts. He spent the better part of 2024 standing up for this. But then he just never understood that it's like, oh, but right at the end of the election, that's when we threw him under the bus.
That people would be on guard for it. But then once you're on guard, you have to actually listen to what people are saying. Are they actually doing that or are they not doing that? Instead, they're being open-minded, open-hearted, and actually trying to get to the actual truth and being news people, right? So in the case of Dave Rubin, he went from, oh, I'm on the left and, you know, I'm going to stand up for LGBTQ rights, et cetera, to going on Fox.
He's a whole different person. I knew Dave Rubin back in the day when he had a, remember on Sirius, he had a gay radio show on Sirius. He'd asked me to come on, and his boyfriend, and even, you know, hey, I made a deal with Bonobos. Would you like some Bonobos, you know, get whatever, merch or whatever, just nice. Really just excoriating the right. And then, look, there's a lot that I know, but enough of Dave Rubin. I don't think it's worth. So you understand what I'm saying?
Now let's do the juxtaposition with us, okay? So on the issue that you brought up, Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon,
bro would think peanut butter and jelly sandwiches is courageous for playing both sides of sweet and salty.
Bannon defrauded his own viewers with that fake wall that he was building, and should have been tried and convicted along with his co-conspirators who were convicted. And he got off because he's buddies with Donald Trump, and Trump gave him an outrageous pardon. Steve Bannon is incredibly hateful when it comes to issues of race, immigration, etc. His favorite book is Camp of the Saints, which is the most racist book there is. The hero of that book is a right-winger who goes and murders all the immigrants trying to get into France. That's also Ann Coulter's favorite book. So these are all things that are absolutely true. So for all the things that you hate about Steve Bannon, you are correct. Those things are true. At the same time, I have open eyes and open ears. He said it during the first term. He's doubling down on it now. He's a populist. Populist doesn't mean blanket good. Left-wing populists and right-wing populists massively disagree on social issues, right? But he's not faking it. He's been saying this for a long time about increasing corporate taxes and increasing tax on the rich. And when you go to fight Elon Musk, the world's richest man and the guy who's the first buddy of Donald Trump, you're taking a giant risk. That doesn't help Steve Bannon at all, politically, grifting wise, etc. Okay. That appears to be his true principle. If you say, hey, I don't want to appear like I'm opening the door to the right wing, even listening to the right wing at all, so I'll just say that Steve Bannon is a devil. And
Bannon's populism is just a tool for power, though. Yeah, and the fact that Cenk is conflating that and purposefully conflating that is a problem. Like, dude, this is why everybody's getting mad at him, because we're perceiving this correctly. He's running roughshod for these right-wingers and doing they're not as bad as you think they are. Like, this isn't just centrism. This isn't trying to fix problems within the left. This isn't doing any of that. He's literally cozying up to the right, trying to go, hey, you know, I got this network and we're not as left-wing as you think. And then he's just like, yeah, but I haven't completely abandoned you guys, so you could definitely stay with us if you enjoy us. Come on. Like, dude,
he has is wrong without even looking into the position.
We're going to be covering it here after this, because this was kind of an impromptu segment, but realistically, man, the whole thing with Franny, like, she's going to be leaving the network. They're losing so much talent, it's insane. Because I do have this feeling that John Adirola is also going to leave. He started popping up on other shows, and he never did that before.
Well, I don't think that's the right way to go.
Rick Strom is out.
All right, look.
You see that there's a giant difference between what I'm
if Cenk was a supervillain, he'd be called the Pandanizer.
saying and what Dave Rubin
or Panderizer.
Did, all his positions overnight. That those things are totally, utterly different.
I have to, if I see, I have to flip it, because it's just such a grift. It's unbelievable. Because no one. No, I don't care who you are. No one changes their core principles like that. No one just does a 180. There's some things where you go, okay, you know, I'm a little bit.
Brandon's leaving. Good for her. I mean, dude, she hasn't made an official announcement yet, but it's just the writing's on the wall.
Conservative on this. I'm a little bit more liberal on this. Okay, so I've opened my eyes to this, but just the entire thing, and then the whole, Russia tenant thing of it all is like, okay, it was just mind-blowing to me. But anyway.
It's not that the right aren't so bad. It's that the Democrats are right-wing dildos.
Look, I just want to play this. A couple people who I respect here, really respect in these spaces. You, Dave Pacman, Brian Tyler Cohen. You were on Brian. I want to play a little bit of it, and then we're going to move on to something else. I'm going to get your response, and then we'll move on.
My worry is that, like, you trying to get through to them on these issues of principle is
Man, Levin is actually doing a really good interview here, I have to say.
Is falling flat because it's not
Elon Musk.
the principle that got them there in the first place. There is no long-standing
He's even
principle
trying
when
to
you are
go to Mars, yeah.
a Trump supporter.
And he's trying to seed it with his, like, oh my God. I mean, dude, we really have somebody with that much ego where he's just like, I'm trying to be the next Genghis Khan.
So do you believe that?
Also, thus proving that women, like some women, just have absolutely no taste and that they need to be called out on
There
it.
is no, I believe there is no long-standing principle, not necessarily if you're, well, I guess if you're a Trump supporter, yeah, because he, as you said, so many lies. But if you are one of these MAGA folks, if you're making excuses for, violent, really criminals storming the Capitol and being pardoned, then that's not, you have no principles. And as long as you understand that, then I think people are maybe okay or should be okay with what you're doing. You don't believe that?
No, I think that you guys are talking about the 2016 and 2020 base. And if you say, well, I can't, you're saying that the base is very different in 24. I'm saying, yeah, the base is somewhat different, right? So what does somewhat different mean? Remember, Don, we're in a spectrum, right? There is no black and white. There is no like, hey, this is the Republican voter. There were people who voted for Donald Trump because they were worried about inflation, and they don't care about any of this.
I haven't seen anything about Elon responding to the gaming stuff now.
Blah, blah, blah. There are people who voted for Donald Trump because they think the Democratic Party lied to them. And then there are people who voted for him because they think he's a demigod, and they like the anti-immigrant talk and the anti-this talk and the anti. So it's a giant range, right? And so in the old days, though, when outward facing in media, etc., they were all single-minded. Whatever Trump says, absolutely. But I could show you already a dozen examples where they were like, no, we don't agree. So by the way, on things that we might agree with Trump more than we agree with his MAGA base on some of them. For example, on COVID, they thought that he did too much in response to COVID. We're closer to Trump than the MAGA base is there. But wait a minute, you see how they're disagreeing. And if you ask them about Marco Rubio, Stefanik, etc., they'll say those are establishment neocons and we don't like them. Yeah. So that doesn't mean they're doing a revolt against Trump and going, no, we hate Rubio and take him down. But they are disagreeing with him. H-1B visas, disagreement. If you're not seeing the disagreement,
think about the disagreement though, Cenk, the disagreement on H-1B visas. And people were shocked that I had such salty language around it. It's because of the racist, like the disagreement shows you really the sort of integrity or the soul of the MAGA folks, because they went online and they were so racist about Indian American people, the Indians, and these are the brown folks that they, I think the folks like Vivek, who is a brown person, which is shocking to me, but they are the good brown folks, which is H-1B visa people, where many of them brown folks from India, and then the bad brown folks are the ones who happen to be coming over from the border. And it is really steeped in such disgusting racism that it's hard for me to find any good when there is a disagreement on H-1B visas.
So, Don, that's a great example. And again, I think you're seeing it wrong. And not because you're completely wrong, but because you're only seeing a part of it. So that's just such a great example. So H-1B visas, are there the racist components you're talking about? Absolutely. There's no question about it. They're not hiding it, and they just say it. Some of the right-wing media, the leaders, et cetera, let alone the followers. We don't want these Indians in the country. We don't want these immigrants, et cetera.
Leanne Coulter, I would have voted for you. I can't vote for you because you're Indian. And look at what happens to the two Indian candidates from the MAGA presidential election. Basically, they're outcasts now. They don't want them.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because Nikki Haley and Vivek are very different, and they don't like Nikki Haley because she's establishment, and Vivek is super annoying. But that's a different thing.
Both will say anything to be president.
Jake's being way too generous here.
Yeah. So, but on H-1B visas, it's complicated because there's a lot of progressives. Like, again, we come to who's the left, right? So we've changed none of our policies, and I think that we represent the great majority of the left-wing voters. And so I used to support H-1B visas completely because it brought in some of the top talent in the world. I'm in favor of immigration. I love that it makes us stronger, et cetera. but populists, both from the right and the left, started to make very good arguments against it, including Bernie Sanders, who had an op-ed, and Ro Khanna, and all these guys came out and said, wait a minute, the H-1B visa is getting abused. This isn't racial. Ro Khanna's Indian, obviously, right? Indian American. And he said,
I'm back with shaving my porn stash
for half the price. And
wait, did we do a Hassan segment?
Out these American engineers, and it's not because
like you saw like
them.
One picture of Hassan, and you're just like that will not do.
It's because they want to cut costs, and this is part of corporate rule.
I understand.
So
I think you're pointing out. I think you're making my point. I think you're proving my point, because the reason that the left and someone like Bernie Sanders disagrees with H-1B visas is a completely different, understandable, logical, factual reason, rather than the racist reason that you find on the right. You don't find that that does not exist on the left or on the center.
I swear to you that you're seeing it wrong.
Who's Lemon like so right about this?
Yes.
This is nuts.
But a lot of the right wing also agree on economic grounds. And then there's the people that are in the middle that think America first. Let's take
I don't
care
agree.
of
I'm not saying all of the right. I'm not saying all of the right. What I'm saying is that you wouldn't get that vitriol if someone, first of all, someone I believe on the left, and look, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, I'm an independent, okay? But there's someone on the left I don't believe would have written that really, oh my God, infuriating letter or tweet that Vivek Ramaswamy wrote, right? In some ways, shockingly biased by his own means. And then I don't think you would have gotten...
Life is certainly giving Cenk some lemons with this interview.
The vitriol and the racism and the bigotry and all of...
Well, let's hope he doesn't make lemonade. Yeah.
On the left that you got on the right. I'm not saying that everyone on the right, that's not what I'm saying.
Did CNN fire Don Lemon? Yeah.
I'm just saying that they're different principally, and the core values are different.
Yeah, it was for something he said. It was about like, it was a sexist take on like women not being able to do something. I can't remember it exactly, but I remember it had to do with that.
Democrats are terrible at politics. Don't get me wrong. But at the core, they're not freaking...
H-1B is not about cutting costs. It's about finding skills.
Racist pieces.
It can be used both ways, though, because think of it this way. Like, then if that person is cheaper, but they're already trained and they have to pay them less, how can you argue that it's not about saving money?
Of crap, like a lot of people in the MAGA movement, or many people in the MAGA movement, I should say.
Yeah. Laughing my ass off. Sorry, that's very incorrect. H-1B is about lowering costs for the same skills with high amounts of control and dependence on the employer.
Yeah, that goes to the disagreements we have on social issues between the right and the left. So I understand exactly what you're saying. At the same
Yet CNN can bring Tubin on as a guest. What clowns? Yep.
time, though, I'm beginning to see, Don, that we have our own version of that. And it's not the same and it's not as bad. But now we've gotten into a mindset that everyone on the right is the worst person on earth.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, you kind of are, though.
Wait, no, I'm not saying. I just told you I don't believe that.
Kind of are.
I am not. By pointing out a fact does not say saying that I think that everybody on the right. I don't think that everybody on the right is.
But you're saying those are the people on the right. They're the racist, terrible people, and we're the good guys. And largely, I agree. That's why I'm on the left, right?
Are you?
I'm not saying I'm not part of the we.
But at the same time, a lot of us on the left keep calling them Nazis, racist, et cetera, and we have so much vitriol towards them that I'm challenging us to say, hey guys, is this what the left is supposed to be? Or are we supposed to be a little bit more open-minded and open-hearted about it? And so let me finish the thought. Don, let me finish the thought.
Okay.
On H-1B visas. So it's okay to say, hey, these group of people are being racist about it. They say it. We're against Indians, we're against other races, et cetera. But it's also okay to say no, but there's also a portion of the right wing that agree with us that the H-1B visas should be reformed on economic grounds. They're coming to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is not going to them. And if they come
almost done at work, hell yeah, man.
To Bernie Sanders, for God's sake, take the goddamn win.
Okay.
But our side goes, no. The minute that it's a right winger, they're the devil. They're the racist. I don't want anything to do. But they're saying yes.
Okay.
Please take yes for an answer on the limited things.
Yeah, he was more than charitable with letting you finish your thought. Dude, This really does make me angry about the way that he engages, because he shouts his points and then he'll get mad when you interrupt him because he wasn't able to finish his shouting point without recognizing that it's like, dude, you just walked all over the other person.
That
He was doing it to Franny too.
they're saying yes to.
Okay.
And unfortunately, a lot of people on our side are actively
Has Cenk had a stroke? Why is he trying to pretend that MAGA isn't an abomination? Because they're trying to humanize him.
rejecting yes for an answer on policies we fought for our whole lives. And Don, it's not going to happen on day one.
Two men with immeasurably frustrating takes frustrating each other.
Trump's
Let's enjoy it for what it
not
is.
going to turn it like, oh my God, I'm an angel. I don't care about money or anything about it. No, we have to try to get to that right-wing populist base that agrees with us on economic issues and unite to create enough pressure on Donald Trump, Elon Musk, etc., to maybe get to the right things on a couple of issues.
All right, I get it. Okay. Couple things. Number one, it's not us. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a progressive. Okay. So I'm looking at this from, I believe, a center left, sometimes center right perspective. Okay. The other thing is that, yes, I agree with you that you have to work together. But I believe what you're saying is a false equivalence. And I think civility goes both ways. And so you're asking for I believe that you are asking for this sort of patriotic civility, that you've got to be nice, you've got to work with people, when the folks on that side don't want to work with the other side. And they are the ones, they are usually hang on, please. They are ones that's usually the name callers. They are the ones that are using the bigoted language. They are the ones who are, I'm not saying they're all Nazis, but there are neo-Nazis. All of those people that you mentioned, the neo-Nazis, are they on the left, Cenk?
No.
Okay. Are the people who are calling, the Indian Americans, and I don't mean Native Americans, I mean Indian Americans like Nikki Haley and Vivek, are they on the left?
So no,
no. But please answer the question. Are those folks on the
that's
left?
why I'm on the left, Don.
So
that's why I'm on the left.
Okay,
But
so
you
fine.
said
So
name
what I'm
calling.
saying
Hold on.
is, don't do the false equivalence, and don't think that civility goes both one way. It goes both ways.
Man, how does he not get it? I'm getting frustrated watching this, because this is what, the 70th frickin' show that he's been on? Dude, he has a center-right guy calling him out on this. What is it going to take? Is it going to take Charlie Kirk even going like, hey, how did we fool you so well? Like, how did we get you to say exactly what we wanted you to say? That's kind of crazy, ain't it?
And so I believe until those folks start being civil to the people who are on the left, then you have to meet them with their own.
Yeah, and then don't get shocked Pikachu face when none of us want to fucking engage with you anymore. Come on, dude. He literally, I keep bringing up Lance because that's where he started this. Lance used to be a contributor with TYT. Lance had a nuanced take about how they were shifting into a new direction, and he was kind of questioning it. And then Jake was just like, look, they're so disingenuous. They're going after us. This is the left virtue signal.
Own energy and stuff.
Dude, he has literally snowballed so fucking like hard downhill.
Saying, okay, and I want to work with you guys, and okay, let's kumbaya. It doesn't work that way with the new right. It doesn't work that way with Mac.
Jake is pandering to the lowest common denominator. I don't need who? Even the lowest common denominator within the center, like the center liberal elite, are just even like, what did he just say?
So Don, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I just told you that
maybe
I was. I was in a 45-minute debate with a right winger where I said, "Are you done? Are you done? Look at any right winger that I talk to."
That was a really. I hate that I'm just looking at Don Lemon. I'm like, he's right,
We get into these brawls, and
this
then
is getting
on
frustrating.
The things that we agree on, we say yes, and you're saying something in my mind that is absolutely lunatic position to say, "Don't even listen to them."
You didn't hear me. That's not what I said. I said you can work with them, but you have to.
Crazy.
No. I'm saying where you can find agreement, you can find agreement, but you have to realize that civility goes both ways, and you don't have to engage with people. Go ahead. Go ahead.
First of all, civility is the wrong frame to begin with. I'm never civil. Okay, I'm not civil to the right. I'm not civil to the left. I'm not civil to anyone. Brother, I love you. I get along so great with you. I'm not civil to you here because we're in the middle of an interesting ideological debate and discussion. Okay. So it's not civility I'm looking for. It's agreement on our issues.
You're looking for some common ground.
Yes. And so
I get that.
doesn't mean you have to be civil to them. It doesn't mean you have to kiss their ass. It doesn't mean that on
That's a good take. Bro, he was leaning so far left that he turned to the right. I think he's testing the waters. It's all about ratings. Yeah.
You shouldn't punch him in the face rhetorically.
Off to work finally. All righty.
And that's what I do.
Well, thanks for hanging.
Okay, in many ways, we're saying the same thing. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying know who you're dealing with. And don't expect...
the idea that I would be naive about it is hilarious.
Okay. Look, don't think that the leopard is not going to eat your face. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Believe me, if I get as who was it, Mystical said, if you see me fighting a grizzly bear in the woods, call for help because that bitch gonna need it.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Oh, you're done with work for the day. My bad.
Why do you...
Oh, sweet. Well, then celebrate.
Why on earth do you go on Piers Morgan? I know Piers. Full transparency. When I was at CNN, Piers and I worked together I would go on his show all the time. When he left, I inherited Piers' entire team, even his office, right? And I took over his time slot. And so Piers and I know each other. We were very friendly. The Piers that I knew then is not the Piers that I know. You remember the old, the old gun rights, gun control Piers? That's not the Piers that we see now. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't go on that show. I would go on that show as a singular guest. I don't want to go on that show on a panel because it's only fighting. I know that you have to go, right? Because you got other stuff to do.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So why on earth do you go on that show? Because you just blow up. He needles you into blowing up. The guests do the same thing. Do you just have fun doing it? You understand what they're doing, correct?
Yeah. That's why it's so ironic that you made the point about civility. I'm a gladiator, so I like being in the Coliseum. So I don't mind it at all. People talk about the marketplace of ideas, and a lot of times it's BS, right? There's just talking points, and we shout back and forth, etc. But I believe in the marketplace of ideas, and so and I like being in that battle. And so what we're doing now is really risky. We're challenging our own side in those.
Right on. But this is what I hear, and you talk and don't shut up until, all right, you just talk. Go ahead, Cenk. You talk.
Yeah. So
this is what I hear when I hear that. It's like everybody's just talking over each other and yelling, and that's what. And I'm like, I hate that. I hate that about cable news. And he's basically doing the cable news, the streaming version of that on cable news, where nothing gets accomplished. That's all I'm saying. But that's why I don't like to do panels.
But in defense of Piers, there's two different things between what he does now and what happens on TV. Number one, what happens on TV is
damn dead inside. This can't be my final reality. That was kind of deep. That made me go like, huh.
5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, you only have time for talking points, and it's counterproductive. It's not helpful. It hurts the conversation. It's not a real exchange of ideas. It's an exchange of talking points. It's an exchange of marketing one-pagers, right? At least when you go on Piers, it lasts around an hour. And then you eventually do get to make your points through all the shouting and the fighting, etc. And just like I said happened today, you might do a brawl with a guy and then at the end go, holy shit, we agree on the oligarchy, right? Yeah. And so that would not have happened on television. On television, they don't want you to agree. Well, what do we do?
You can do that without talking over each other. You can do that without yelling. You can have an intelligent conversation where you do it. But it's clicks.
He puts on a circus. I know that.
It's clicks.
Yeah, it's bread and circus. Yeah. But you know what? If you're a gladiator, that's what you do.
Well, that's my nature. But I'm also very careful about where I expend my energy and how I want to be seen in those spaces because I get hit enough. But I actually like watching the sort of right-wing podcast bros or whatever. I watch a lot of it. I've even appeared on some of them, but I'm not going to do it in a panel, right? I'm not going to do it where folks are yelling over each other. I just hate that format. I think it's counterproductive. It's unproductive, especially in the time that we're in where people need solutions. So, Cenk, let's move on.
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you could be part of because Piers Morgan does book people that don't want to do that, who don't want to participate in the panel. He'll book them for like a half hour debate with him.
we'll agree to disagree on some things, which I think.
Again,
we
I'm
should
not
be
trying
doing.
to like stand up
And
for
the
peers
utmost,
either.
As I told you, respect for you. I think that you're a pioneer in this business. The other thing that I don't like is, I think that some of the folks who are coming after you, who are criticizing you, and I told you this, I don't like it because I think it's vicious and it's cruel, and I see them trying to steal your subscribers and to steal your members, and it just seems very targeted.
Stealing subs and members. There's no sharing. There's no shared. There's no audience share. Wait a minute. What? What?
They want to cancel you. I don't think that you should be canceled. I think that you should be criticized. All of us, even me. But I don't believe in canceling people or trying to steal their subscribers or really just going after them ruthlessly.
Stealing subs. Okay.
Day after day after day. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about it?
Yeah.
Kirk, don't steal my subs now. I'll be mad at you.
Look, I'm a little bit more
That was wacky.
zen about it, because over 20 years that we've been online, I'm not sure.
No, he's saying they're trying to pull him away from TYT. Oh.
There's a lot of people who've been criticized more than me in the history.
Don Lemon is a leftist, by the way. No, he's not. He was a self-admitted centrist, independent centrist.
So that's Tuesday to me. And we've been in a lot of these battles already, Don. So when people look at this snapshot of time, they go, oh, you're in this battle with this left winger.
If you think Don Lemon's a leftist, then I'm a question that you might have heard that from your mom, who's over 50.
Host and blah, blah, blah. And oh my God, is Young Turks. Like the thing that I've heard 100 times in my life is Young Turks is going down. Young Turks is going down. Yet here we are, and our competition is a graveyard. So a lot of
it's a graveyard. You mean how small YouTubers are starting to grow yet at exponential rates? The Vanguard, even Vosh, he's had sub growth. What are you talking about, Cenk? Like, I hate to say this, but he's being a catty little bitch about this one. Majority Report has grown, and you know who keeps losing subs? You know who keeps losing actual performers?
these guys.
No. This guy his head is so in the clouds, it's kind of scary. Like, he really lives in this reality where he's talking about, and every single one of us is just going, huh, how'd you get there?
Guys are headed.
I mean, dude, Hassan, the last time that they brought Jake up, he's just like, I can't, I'm not.
Why?
He insinuated that, like, Jake's giving might not even happen because it's just like, this could be problematic.
Because they're doing a scam. They're doing like a little thing where they're like, oh, I'm the most left, I'm the most pure, everybody else in the hot seat.
I hate the purity test. I hate the purity test. I hate the canceling.
And that has a limited shelf.
Don Lemon has eyebrows thicker than some foundations of some houses.
So for a while, it gets people riled up and passionate, and they tell them, oh, yeah, these guys are selling out for money. There's no evidence of that. They tell
he kind of has Rock Lee from Naruto.
Oh, my God, they're turning right-wing, even though there's no evidence of that. And then after a while, the audience goes, wait a minute, none of the things they said turn out to be true, right? Yeah. And so the reason we keep winning after year after year after year is because we earn people's trust. And at the end, they go, oh, my God, he was right about that. He was... I called Bernie having a shot at beating Hillary in 2013. That's online. You can see it. Mm-hmm. So there's a series of these things that we have said where people said, you're crazy. Bernie's polling at 1%. What kind of a lunatic thinks he's going to challenge Hillary Clinton?
Okay.
I called Bill de Blasio when he was running third in New York. And so
hit the thumbs up, by the way, if you're watching this. Maybe that's what we're reminding folks. Let me ask you then.
The thumbs up, boomer. Yeah, actually, why don't you hit that like, and I really appreciate it.
A couple things, because I want to let you go. I know that you're a very busy man. You actually have a live show to do. So here's the thing. How do you feel about the media now? Do you think that the media is in some ways, well, it's not even in advance now, where they're sort of complying and obeying in advance. Do you think that the media is strong? I have real concerns about the media in this time where they need to be strong. It seems like they're being weak.
Yeah. So if we're talking about legacy media, mainstream media, I think they're getting all the wrong lessons. So they're now being more compliant to Donald Trump. So there's a difference between fighting, but looking for common ground, being open-minded, and being compliant.
Nah, this is different than a right-wing arc because the right wing won't even own him. Like, he He's doing this weird thing where I think he wants to make himself so like centrist that he can be like, see, everybody's insane. We don't have a political home. Come join us.
So when they've
already been doing that. Look at Anna's Substack.
And saying we're going to pull the editorials. Our real opinion about Trump is that he shouldn't be president, but we're pulling that, right? We're going to go over that, give him $1 million for his inauguration fund, hire a bunch of people who are going to go kiss his ass on air, etc. That's the wrong lesson. The correct lesson is be hard on Trump, but also be hard on the Democrats. Be hard on populists, but also be hard on the establishment.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening now because everyone is sort of complying. And I think, I see the right-wing versions of the folks who stand up for.
You can genuinely believe that the sky is red. That doesn't make you right.
Or MAGA and whatever. And they say the most outrageous things, they get away with it, but there is no equivalent to it on the left. You would be the closest to it, but there's no equivalent, who's hired as someone who is a contributor on a center or a left-leaning station. Or even on the right, there's no left-wing equivalent to the folks that they hire on the right just to defend Donald Trump.
I didn't say he was right. I just said he's not a grifter. Fair.
The other thing is, look, I think we're kind of in the same space with that. What do you think, what's happening now? We've got the raids going on. You've got all these executive orders that are happening and just the inauguration of it all. What did you think watching that inauguration and some of the antics around it?
I'm split on it. So most of his executive orders are terrible, right?
Oh, by the way, let me just. By the way, just to wrap up the conversation about the media, did you see the ratings? Part of it is I think that is Trump fatigue, but part of it is I believe that people believe that the legacy media is failing them, but also we're viewing the inauguration through the legacy media. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I think that's definitely right. I mean, the cable news's subscriber base is going down naturally, so you're going to get less ratings as the years go on naturally. But on top of that, they've really lost the faith of the American people. I mean, there was a poll that came out the other day. Legacy media is viewed with 7% favorability. And to me, the core of the issue is
let's be fair. How do they view news media on any, YouTube, TikTok? Probably the same way, man. No, say mainstream media, news media.
Keep pretending that it's not theater, that they keep pretending the politicians are real and they're not controlled by the donors. And the American people, left and right, don't agree. They think the politicians are crooks and that they're completely controlled by the donors. And so that's the main thesis that the Young Turks have had for 20 years. And now almost everyone's come around to it, except legacy media. And that's why people go, these guys are clowns. They think that these politicians are honest actors and they're having real ideological debates. No, they're just cashing checks. So that's my
yeah, careful there, buddy. Especially, with that type of wording. Live from the Polymarket studio.
Critique of legacy media that I've had for decades, and I think the chickens are coming home to roost there. Now on the inauguration, so a lot of pomp and circumstance. I hate pomp and circumstance. The executive orders, there's the bucket of ones that we knew we were going to get, but we hate anyway. Getting out of the Paris Climate Treaty, that's terrible. We delay a real fix for 4 years, but we knew if Trump won that was going to happen. Then there's the ones that go beyond that, ending birthright citizenship, which is unconstitutional and mental and un-American and all of those things. But now, because we're fair, I will also say Trump has the optics and to some degree the reality of delivering for his base. Mm-hmm. So when Democrats get into office, they go, well, we're not going to do anything. You have to push us to do it. You have to push us to do it. And then when you go to push them to do it, they're like, how dare you push us, right? Yeah. So whereas Trump goes, you don't have to push me on anything. Here's thousands of executive orders, and I'm taking action. God, the optics of that from a political strategy point of view is great. And if we don't learn from that and we bury our head in the sand and go, everything Trump does is evil, we'll do the opposite, that's a wrong takeaway. Fight him on the policy and see what he's doing right on the strategy.
Cenk, this should have been my first question to you. Cenk Uygur, are you a sellout?
No, never, ever. And by the way, Young Turks, 6 o'clock Eastern, every single day, Monday through Friday. Come see. And if you see us being right wing, go, oh, I got you, right? If you see us kissing anyone's ass, oh, I got you. No, but what you'll see instead is us being brutally honest with the other side, with our side, with mainstream media, with the politicians. No one criticizes the politicians more than we do, whether they're right or left. By the way, no one gives credit where credit is due, whether they're left or right, more than we do. It's called actual news. So that's what we do on the Young Turks.
Cenk Uygur.
I mean, is it weird that right there I actually kind of got that, like, man, I do kind of miss like being able to watch them and like trust them like as a news source, but now
Thank you. You took
they're
the
just
heat,
as
by the
bad
way,
as
off
everybody
Anna
else.
a little bit, and I hope to have her on this program. But I appreciate
Can't sell out if you're already bought.
you.
Ooh.
Gary. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Don.
All right. Well, that was a fun little impromptu segment. And honestly, I did not see that coming. I did not see me actually agreeing for the most part with Don Lemon. Like, what? Why is Donald Trump's DJT stock falling again? Why Donald Trump's return to the White House is a problem? I don't know, are you asking that, or did you try to send a link? Because that looks like the title of something. Anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed that segment. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out in the algorithm, and it just makes you a better YouTube consumer. So, you know that you want to be cooler. So hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.